Hello, Shemai. Welcome to my wild Welsh garden. Well, the transition between seasons can be a bit of a battle. One day it's winter and the next day it's spring. On the 1st of March, we had rain and high winds and hailstorms, and there was snow on the tops. And then over the weekend, the sun came out, and so did the primroses. All over the garden, shining like little jewels. And then on Monday, it was warm enough for me to see my first drone fly. And then when I went out this morning, it was really, really cold. Everywhere was frosty. The birds' water was frozen. There was ice on the pond again. And everywhere looked quite magical, covered in this dusting of like icing sugar. And if you're wondering how the hedgehogs are faring in the cold nights, when I went to put the camera out last night, I switched the outside light on and one of the hedgehogs was in the middle of the yard. He was obviously startled and he didn't curl up, but he just sat very, very still. So I went in to get my phone, and when I came out, he was still there. And he stayed like that for a long time, and then he trundled off into the corner, and I don't want to disturb him. I don't want to put him off coming into the garden and having some food. So I just switched the light off and left him to it. There are signs of spring all over the garden. The camellias are flowering. And the first of the Magnolia stellata buds is just beginning to break. And I've got some seedlings on the kitchen windowsill. There are 2 different sorts of aubergines and 3 different sorts of chilies. And they've just started to get their first true leaves. So it won't be long and I'll be potting them up. Broad beans in the polytunnel are up and looking good. Slugs have been at them a bit, but I should be able to cope with that. The chard is sprouting. I've taken some cuttings of the perennial kale, and the sweet peas in the greenhouse have got their first lot of true leaves. Well, the rain has stopped and the sun has come out. I don't know how long it's going to last, but to be honest, the slightest little bit of respite is welcome. So I'm going to go and sit in the sunshine and drink a cup of coffee. And did you see the butterfly? It was so quick, I didn't see what it was. It's overwintered as an adult and it's dark, so it's probably either a red admiral or a small tortoiseshell. It's not my first butterfly this year. I did see one a week ago, I think. But again, it was too quick for me to see what it was. The postman's just delivered a couple of parcels, and this was one of them. It's a Helbor, but it's Helborus foetidus, the stinking Helbor, which sounds lovely, doesn't it? But this is part of my New Year's resolution to have more native plants and maybe to replace some of the non-native ones. So this is native to the UK, and I understand that it is happy in the shade. So I'm going to put it down there. That's where a Budia was. Well, Budlias are not native to the UK. And I'm not going to get rid of all of them because the butterflies love them, but I do have quite a lot of Budia, so I thought that one could go and I would replace it with a native plant. And this is what was in the other parcel. It's a bee house or a bee hotel for solitary bees. And the solitary bees fill these little tubes with pollen and nectar and lay their eggs in there. And the eggs hatch into grubs which feed on the pollen and nectar that the bees stored there. And then they pupate, and then next year they emerge as adult solitary bees. And it's modular, so you can buy several of them and make sort of pretty patterns on your wall. And also the cardboard tubes come out so you can replace them and keep the bees healthy so that you don't get parasites and diseases building up. I've got this one here on the side of my summer house, which has been there for quite a while, several years, and no bees have ever shown any interest in it, to be honest. And I would have thought it was in an ideal position. It's south facing, so it gets the morning sun to warm them up. Yeah, so I don't quite know what's wrong really. So if any of you have any suggestions, I don't want to just put the new one in the same place if the bees aren't going to be interested, or maybe south facing is too hot. Anyway, so if you know what I'm doing wrong, please tell me, or if you have any other ideas of where it would be better to site the new bee hotel, I'd be really grateful. Thank you. The new pond still looks very much like a muddy puddle. This is the old pond at the top of the garden. So there's the frog spawn in the pond. Looks like it's survived a little bit of ice that it's had on it. I had a little bit of ice on again this morning. So this is what the frog spawn looks like now. It's just over 2 weeks since it was laid, and a week, I think, since I last filmed them. So they're beginning to look even more tadpole-like. Definitely tadpole-shaped now. But I think it'll be another week before they're ready to swim away. And now the sun is shining. I hope you can see down there. There's another lot of frog spawn. It's developing into tadpoles. So that's two lumps of frog spawn I've had in my pond this year. The insects are waking up. This is a fly. I have seen a couple of bumblebees, but they're just too quick for me to catch on film. The hellebores have been completely spoilt by the rain. They look so bedraggled. The bee seems to be finding something to eat. And this is a solitary bee, so I'd be very happy if it would come and lay its eggs in my new bee hotel. And just showing the importance of these early flowers for these early waking pollinators. And this is another dronefly. It does look a little bit like a bee, but it's just mimicking a bee to try and stop predators from making a meal of it. These are the latest additions to the bird boxes in my garden. These are Sparrow Boxes. They're sold in groups of 3 because sparrows are very sociable little birds and they like to nest in colonies. I have lots of sparrows in my garden, but I didn't have any boxes, so I decided to put these up on the side of my house. And the reason is that when I did the Great Garden Bird Watch, I counted 15 sparrows within the hour, and when I got the feedback, they said that the average number of sparrows that people see in their gardens is 4. And I thought, gosh, aren't I lucky having such a huge population of sparrows? Because in fact it was more than 15, but I just couldn't count them all because they were all zipping around all over the place. And then I thought, well, the only reason why I've got so many sparrows is because I've got Sparrow City behind my garden. It's this building here. I think it's some sort of telephone exchange. But they nest under the eaves, and it's obviously quite an old roof. You can see where it's just been mended at the side there. And I thought, you know, the people who own this building probably have no idea that they're housing the sparrow population of this village. And it only needs for them to decide to put a new roof on, and the sparrows have got nowhere to live. And I thought, they're so vulnerable. So I thought I would put some sparrow boxes up. Not that I'm expecting sparrows, because I think they've probably got plenty of room under the eaves here. But it will give them somewhere to go if anything happens to this roof and their home is taken away from them. I wondered what had been making holes in the hibernaculum. I thought something had been digging in there, but it's those cheeky sparrows. See what those pesky sparrows have been doing. And it's not as tall as it was. So thanks for visiting me in my wild Welsh garden. Spring has definitely arrived, and it's just lovely sitting here in the sunshine. So thanks for watching the video. Thanks for accompanying me on my journey wilding my garden. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll bring you some more exciting updates about frog spawn and hedgehogs and insects and butterflies and everything else. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!